Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Really do appreciate your time. Thank you for stopping by. On this edition, we're going to be talking about Saints running back Alvin Kamara, and he decided to reveal who he wants as the next head coach of the New Orleans Saints. And we're going to be talking about some of the responses that took place online because of this. All right. But thank you so much once again, those that are watching at home, those that are in the chat right now. I really do appreciate it. And this show is brought to you by and powered by BETUS. You can sign up today, get up to 150% on your first deposit, up to 125% on your second and third deposit, up to $2,000. Use the promo code YouTube150. That's YouTube150. Let's go ahead and get into it, man. Let's go ahead and get into it. So I've been on social media quite a bit today. I'm pretty sure quite a few of you have, and you're probably watching this. We get a lot of people that check this out on X, also known as Twitter. There was some comments about the Saints head coaching search. As we know, upon the making of this video, the Chicago Bears have decided to roll with Ben Johnson as their new head coach, the former offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. And, you know, anytime you start seeing teams start to hire guys, you start to wonder to yourself, when is my team going to finally hire their coach, right? I mean, that's what a lot of Saints fans have been feeling, you know, going through this interview process. So we know that the Saints have interviewed head coaching candidates like Kellen Moore and, Joe Brady, virtually, Anthony Weaver, Kafka, all these different guys that they've interviewed. But, there's one guy in particular a lot of Saints fans have been waiting on, and that is Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn, defensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. Everybody knows over the last couple of weeks it's been said that the New York Jets is his team of choice, if they decide to roll with him. And of course, we know that the Jets are trying their best to try to hire Aaron Glenn as their head coach. I'm pretty sure it will be a dream come true, especially since Aaron Glenn spent the first 8 years of his career with the Jets, and he knows that their organization, played for their organization, put blood, sweat, and tears towards that organization. So I guess if we're looking at a team that he's been with and has established relationships longer, versus a team like the Saints where he's only there for, maybe like a year, you have to believe that the Jets are the front runners right now. But, everybody's kind of been talking about who they feel like the head coach should be, right? I mean, everybody's done this. I mean, everybody in here has done this. Everybody at home watching this right now has done this. And of course, Alvin Kamara, a player for the New Orleans Saints, the running back, decided that he wanted to chime in on it. I mean, we kind of know where Alvin stands. I mean, towards the end of the season, he had his end of the season interview with the media. And he threw his he threw an endorsement out there for Darren Rizzy. Darren Rizzy, the interim head coach of the New Orleans Saints, after Dennis Allen was fired by the New Orleans Saints, he became the interim coach, and he provided a spark, and they won a few games, and then all of a sudden they started to sputter down the stretch, justifiably so, because they had a lot of injuries. But Alvin chimed in on this because the question was asked to him, who do you feel like should be the next head coach? And Alvin's response was, and this is via X, he says, my vote for head coach rhymes with fizzy. So, of course, we already know what that means. I mean, the word fizzy rhymes with Rizzy. He's indicating that he endorses Darren Rizzy. And, there was a lot of, backlash because some people feel like that's not the direction the Saints need to go in. Some people feel like, well, he's just an interim coach. You need a little bit more based on what the New Orleans Saints needs are and, how the team is looking. So, some people, supported, Alvin's stance on bringing back Darren Rizzy, and some people just feel like it's not a step in the right direction. Then, of course, Alvin again chimed in and he said, I don't really speak too much football, especially in the offseason, but it's funny hearing why y'all think the coach should get a job or not. But then again, the last time some of y'all played organized anything was last night on 2K. Can't even get your best friend to pass you the ball at the park. Wife mad as hell, yelling on the game all night. So basically taking a shot out there to the people that he feels, don't really know that much about football. And, like regardless of, if you agree with fans or not, this is just my opinion. The fact of the matter is, you never want to throw the people that support you and care about you, and the fact that they root for you every single week. You never want to throw them under the bus, man. I mean, their opinions and viewpoints do matter, and he did backtrack and say that people have a right to exercise their First Amendment rights, but I don't feel like that was really necessary. I mean, people are going to disagree, and and just because people don't really understand the ins and outs of football doesn't necessarily mean that they don't have an opinion and their opinion isn't valued. Me personally, I'm just going to say this, man. I want to also say this. Alvin Kamara is a talented football player. I mean, it goes without saying, but just because you're great doesn't necessarily mean you know what you're talking about or you have the best take when it comes to like certain situations. Now you can, endorse certain people, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that that's necessarily the right decision. Like we've seen this before. For example, let's take a look at Sean Payton. Sean Payton on his way out of the door. Did he not endorse Dennis Allen to be his successor and the next head coach of the New Orleans Saints? And the Saints, they kind of took Sean Payton's feelings and viewpoint into consideration, and they decided to roll with that. And what has happened? It has been an unmitigated disaster. So my point is, and I said this on X, so I apologize if you're hearing this or hearing this again, but even the greats don't know what they're talking about sometimes. And I just think that when it comes to the Saints fans out there, they just want to see something different. They just want to get out of this hole that they're in. They just want to get out of this funk that they're in. Like people want success. Like everybody is not going to get paid millions of dollars regardless if they win or lose. When people are going to these stadiums, they're spending their hard-earned money to try to invest their time in a product that they actually want to believe in. So when you see a team that you love and value fumbling all over itself and you realize that you spent $100 that could have went towards getting some gas, $100 that could have put some groceries in your refrigerator, like you start to think about that because that's just the reality. And people want a return on their investment. And of course, your return on the investment comes in the form of a contract extension, a Super Bowl championship, a playoff berth. But the everyday Joe Blow, like what their return on investment is the team having results. And the fan base, that is what they want. They want this team to be successful. They want results. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. My apologies. I ended up starting the show and forgot to put my put my charge in. Laptop was on 9%. But anyway, back to what I was saying, and I apologize for that. But people spend their hard-earned money, they invest their time, and they invest, in the football team, and they just want a return on investment. So I just hope that Alvin understands that. I'm pretty sure that he does. But here's the thing. And I also posted on social media about if the New Orleans Saints can't get their hands on Aaron Glenn, which seems like a lot of Saints fans feel and believe that they should. I wholeheartedly believe, and I'm sorry, but I wholeheartedly believe that, number one, the Saints should go offensive. I think that when you're dealing with a defensive-minded coach, it's cool. But at the same time, I just feel like this is an offensive-driven league. This is an offensive-driven league. This is a league where, quite frankly, our offense kind of drives it. And, defensively, if you start to find success as a head coach and being a defensive-minded coach, you got to constantly over and over and over again end up, having to replace offensive coaches. Now, I'm looking at what some people are saying right now. I want to see if what people are saying is actually factual because, like I said, we're doing this in real time right now. Want to see if what I'm seeing on the screen is accurate. Y'all give me a second. All right, so says Clint Kubiak. Let's see. Clint Kubiak is most exciting Jets OC candidate. Well, I don't know, man. I'm here. I seen somebody put on the screen, and I'm just saying it says Clint Kubiak leaving. So is anybody hearing anything about Clint Kubiak? I'm just doing this in real time, so I just want to make sure that that didn't happen. Says Kubiak is leaving. So I don't know exactly if somebody heard something or seen something. But anyway, back to what I was saying. You need an offensive-minded coach. Defensively, when you have yourself a defensive coach, you have to find yourself constantly replacing offensive-minded coaches because NFL teams want more offensive philosophy, right? And that's just the way, that I feel. But I just think that based on the same situation, I'm sorry. Like, if you're not going to go with Aaron Glenn, you got to go with Mike McCarthy. And I don't understand why and how Mike McCarthy has just become the poster boy for terrible coaches. Like, the man has won over 100 games. I mean, this guy's took every team that he's coached to the playoffs. Every quarterback that he worked with, for the most part, has found success, numbers-wise, analytically. They live up to their potential. Even in some cases, if you're looking at Cooper Rush, they exceed expectations. I look at the Saints for what they are right now, and I get it. People want the nice, flashy, shiny thing all the time, right? You go on eBay or you go on Amazon, and let's just say you purchase something. And if you scroll down to the bottom, it'll show you like, okay, man, you can get this same thing that's used at a cheaper price. But instead, like, you're like, man, I don't want the used one. I don't want it. You know what I'm saying? It might have a scratch on there or something like that. It probably don't work, right? So we want the new flashy thing. And that's what I feel. Like, for all those people out there that's throwing out coaches that never coached as a leader of men on a head coaching scale, I just wonder, like, what makes you believe in your heart of hearts that person gonna work out? Like, is it because they're new? Is it because they haven't been tampered with? Is it because, like, you seen them through a triple reverse or some type of exotic play that you've seen, and all of a sudden you say you want some of that? I just don't understand it. But what I do know is I'm tired of losing. And for some apparent reason, you have some Saints fans out here that I don't know if they got this false sense of reality of what the Saints are. They're delusional, or they just don't know. Like, if you have a chance of being better than you were last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and there's a coach out there that can give you that chance, why the heck not? I mentioned Mike McCarthy and people, like, indicating like this dude ain't good as a coach or he's not talented. My question to all those Saints fans out there, and I mean this, what makes Mike McCarthy unsalvageable? What makes him unsalvageable? But Sean Payton, if he got released by Denver tomorrow, everybody be like, I want some of that too. What the heck is the difference? Like, people would say stuff like Mike McCarthy hasn't had playoff success. He goes to the playoffs and he gets bounced out of the playoffs. Somebody please explain to me what's the difference between Mike McCarthy and Sean Payton. Sean Payton went to the playoffs. Sean Payton won a lot of regular season games and has only one Super Bowl to show for it, just like Mike McCarthy. But people make it seem like, Sean Payton is up here and Mike McCarthy is down there. They both won a lot of football games. They're both 500 when it comes to playoffs. They won, like I said, over 100 games. They both had all-world elite quarterbacks. But this is the problem. And I know that I'm speaking to some people. And like I said, I know that this may not be one of those opinions that people want to have a conversation about, but this is the reality. Some of you are too young to understand what the Saints were before 06. I keep telling y'all, and I say this all the time, and I got to put this disclaimer out here, because when people start hearing you start talking about old days or further back in their timeline, they feel like you sunning them. I'm not trying to sun anybody. What I'm saying is you are a prisoner to your own reality. See, some of you only remember the Saints as a relevant franchise, winning a bunch of games, going to the playoff consistently, being able to talk to your Falcon friends, your Carolina Panther friends, your Tampa Bay Buccaneers friends, and beat on your chest and talk about how great this football team is. So you only remember the Saints for being relevant and good and winning all these football games. So when you throw a coach like Mike McCarthy out there, you have a tendency of feeling like, oh, that's beneath you, but it's not. The Saints have been relevant for about 15, 16 years in existence. I'm talking period. Yeah, they had a course of time where the Saints would make the playoffs here, sprinkle of playoffs there. But at the end of the day, the Saints didn't win much. They didn't win. And I guarantee you, growing up, when I was growing up, and growing up with some of these other 30 and 40 somethings were growing up, you wish you could get a coach like Mike McCarthy. But for some apparent reason, people feel like that Mike McCarthy, a hire like that, is beneath them. The Saints ain't winning jack. The Saints ain't won jack. And the way that you look at the New Orleans Saints, that's not how people look at the New Orleans Saints now. And I'm not just saying this from like just what I'm speculating. I get opportunity to interact with some well-respected individuals around the league. Whether it's I see them in person or they talk to me behind the scenes. The respect and the way that people look at the New Orleans Saints franchise is not the same anymore. So when you talk about Mike McCarthy and, hey, that ain't a good look, what I can tell you was not a good look. Missing the playoffs every year is not a good look. Being under 500 consistently is not a good look. And some of you are like the stock market crash of 1929, but before that, you was in a penthouse somewhere. Now, all of a sudden, this great stock market crash takes place, and now you don't even know, how to fend for yourself. Some of you, like I said, you're a prisoner of your own reality. All you remember is success and Drew Brees your entire life. So when you have a coach like Mike McCarthy, you feel like, oh, that's just beneath you. But go back further before Sean Payton and Drew Brees showed up on the Saints doorstep and tell me before that if you wouldn't want a coach like Mike McCarthy. This is spoiled Saints fan banter right here. And you also just basically look at what the NFL world is doing and you feel like that's the wave. But it doesn't always have to be like that. People look at Sean McVay, 38 years old, young, he's a relatable coach, offensive minded, and everybody seems to want to gravitate towards that. So you will see a Kevin O'Connell, shouts out to him just getting a contract extension. You'll see a Matt LaFleur. And then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, that's what we need to do. We need to do what them other coaches do. We need to do what them other teams do. We need to hire a coach that's 30 something years old. Just because you hire a coach that's 30 something years old, just because it worked for the Rams or the Packers or the Vikings doesn't mean it's always going to work for everybody. And you also have to count your own pockets. Okay. You can't live outside of your means. Give you an example. If you have $20 in your pocket, would you roll up to Root Chris Steakhouse and ask for a porterhouse steak? Unless you are insane, the answer is no. If you have a 400 credit score, would you go to the Mercedes-Benz dealership and ask for a 25 fully loaded Mercedes-Benz on loan? Would you do it? No. Why won't you do it? Because you realize and you know that more than likely you're going to get denied because it's not in your price range. And then on top of that, you don't have the means or the financial security or the credit score to get it. You won't go for a porterhouse steak because you only got $20 in your pocket. And they're going to ask you, where's the rest of their money? My point is, some of you are living outside of your means. You got to understand where you are right now as a franchise. If you are a New Orleans Saints fan, you are borderline poverty. You haven't won the division in 4 seasons. You haven't made the postseason in 4 seasons. You have question marks at the quarterback position. You have question marks when it comes to like your roster. You have question marks when it comes to your drafting process. And if you can find a coach that can actually steer things in the right direction, I'm for it. Because I can tell you this, going to the playoffs feels a lot better than sitting at home. And we can go up here and pretend and watch the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win a division every single year and go to the postseason and get bounced out. And we can try to make ourselves feel better and believing that, oh man, y'all still lost, but you can't win if you ain't in. And you can talk about contenders and all that kind of stuff, but I can tell you who is not a contender, a team that's sitting on a couch before the playoffs even start. So if Mike McCarthy can bring success to New Orleans, if Mike McCarthy is the right fit to be able to right the ship, and even if it's for a couple of years where maybe the Saints are going a different direction, if he can keep this thing afloat and make Saints football watchable, and maybe he won't be the answer. Maybe he'll help bring the Saints to a certain point. But at least by the time, they've decided to go in a different direction, they'll be in much better shape. Because I'm telling y'all, I can see it right now. I sense the vibe of the whole Who Dat Nation. All y'all talking about Joe Brady and all these other coaches that haven't, the rapper hasn't been popped off or the seal hasn't been ripped. I guarantee you, if those guys don't give you instant success, y'all going to be somewhere crying in the chat, whining, complaining, talking about Mickey and effed up again. And that's all y'all going to be listening. Y'all going to be talking about. I know for a fact how the Saints fans operate. Y'all do not have the patience. Some of you don't have the patience to allow things to work itself out. So if you're going to work things out, I'd rather work it out with somebody that more than likely is going to put the team in the best position to succeed. And you can, you know what I'm saying? At least you making a playoffs or playing some competitive football around December or January. But sitting up here talking about, oh man, Joe Brady, man, you seen what he did? Man, I ain't got nothing against Joe Brady or any of those coaches. But some of you just want the dude because that's the wave of the NFL. That's just it. That's just the wave of the NFL. A young 30-something coach, which I can understand because I've had that conversation. I said the Saints need to get younger at head coach. I've said that before. But looking at this organization, the situation, and what is going on, I want people to understand this too. If the New Orleans Saints fumble on this head coaching hire again, you're talking about a decade of ineptitude. A decade of ineptitude. Now think about that, folks. I'm just trying to keep it a buck with y'all. Because you know that Mickey ain't, like, regardless of who he hires, like, he can be that 30-something-year-old coach that probably don't know what the heck he doing. Mickey gonna let this thing play out 3, 4, 5 years. So you about to have 3, 4, 5 years of misery. Do you want that for real? I'm just saying, I'd rather go with something I know that is a sure thing. What we're acting like in some cases, We're like that entitled 16-year-old kid who parents just got him his or her driver permit and was like, okay, yeah, you want to drive yourself to school? Yeah, I sure do. Well, here you go. And it revealed to them that first Honda Accord that they had before they upgraded to the vehicle they got now. And that 16-year-old looking at it, scowling, upset because he's driving around or she's driving around in a Honda Accord that's out of date. Not realizing, hey, man, look, hey, I should be appreciative. I got something here. I want the shiny new Honda Accord, right? Like you just started driving, like, and if you have like a young teenager, you better not give them no brand new car. You better not. At least until they start driving a good little minute, because there's a possibility that thing can be on a curb, hitting a fire hydrant somewhere, trying to stunt, leaning all back. So all I'm saying is, let's ride the Honda Accord. I'm okay with the Honda Accord right now. Then when it starts, does it say vroom? Okay, can I put it in drive? Can I get it to point A to point B? I'm good with that. And sometimes you just got to be good with that until you're comfortable enough to get to where you really need to be or be able to make another decision. But right now, you're almost $100 million in cap hell. You got uncertainty at quarterback, an aging roster, and once again, bad drafting practices. Why would you want to put a young, fresh, vibrant coach in a situation like that? I'd rather go with somebody that can actually keep things afloat until they get their salary cap under control and better draft practices. But that's just me. Let's go ahead and read some of these comments. It says, he just not a young mind is all. Don't have to be. Don't have to be a young mind. Oh, man, what you're asking for, Mike McCarthy can provide. Like, there's no question marks behind that. Like, you can talk about, man, he get bounced out of the playoffs. At least he can make the playoffs. He has a reputation of developing quarterbacks, developing rosters, building rosters. For a fact that he can actually draft good quality players that be ready to play day one. What more do you want? You just want it in a 35-year-old body. That just doesn't the main objective is to win. Do you want to win? Look, if you want the Marcus Freeman coach, like, oh man, look at my coach, boy. Walk out there with that nice Taylor suit on, nice looking guy, fresh haircut. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, got some Cartiers on. You know what I'm saying? Sitting there in the chair with his leg crossed. That's my coach right there. Look at my coach. Look at him, boy. That's my coach. I don't care what the guy looks like. Okay? I get it, man. I understand. Can the man get the team where they need to be? That's the question. I don't care what he look like. You shouldn't care what he look like. But that's what we want, man. We want the appeal. We want the appeal. We want the flashy thing. We want the new iPhone with all the bells and whistles. We want the new car that's fully loaded. Like, cool. But at the same time, like, you can get that. But what's wrong with the other one? You know what I'm saying? If it's reliable, dependable, get you where you need to be, and exactly, you don't have to exhaust your spending to actually attain it. Why the heck not? This man giving you everything that you want right now, but you just don't like the wrapper that it comes in. I don't get it. Like, don't just say that you just don't want him to be the head coach because you want something different. Don't try to throw salt on a man's name like he can't coach. When Mike McCarthy comes to the NFC South, if he comes to the NFC South as the head coach of the Saints, he automatically becomes the best head coach in the NFC South. So you're telling me that you rather go with somebody of uncertainty, that you have to kind of figure things out as far as who he is and what he is, versus a coach that you know automatically when they come there, they're going to be the best coach in the division. That's the start. That's the start right there. I don't get it. I don't. I'm tired of losing, man. I be jealous of watching these other franchises in the playoff, TJ. That's my whole point. Like, what do we want to do? We want to look good, right? Like, so we okay with that, right? We just want to look good. We just want a young coach to know that, oh man, we got a young coach. He got time. You want to win. The Saints, that's what they want to do. They want to win. Like, you can talk about, man, I got patience. Look, you can have all the patience you want to. You can think that you're the second coming of Job. But guess what? When your team start losing game after game after game, it does not feel good. It does not feel good. It don't feel good to lose. Nobody want to see the team that they root for lose consistently. I don't. And if you have a way that you can get out this whole pit of misery, I'm about it. Not being able to win the worst division in the NFL the last 4 years is crazy. That's what I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm telling you. I just don't I don't get it. Like, I was really looking at these responses to people talking about, oh, Mike McCarthy, he ain't it. We need something different from this. Like, we okay with being mediocre. I just want to know what you think the New Orleans Saints was during the time when Sean Payton and Drew Brees were here. Like, seriously. Like, I mean this without any disrespect. What was the New Orleans Saints? Like, it's not like they won 6 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowls, for that matter. They won 1 Super Bowl, and it was in the playoffs consistently, only to get to the first or the second round, third round 2018, just to break your heart and make you feel just as bad as the Lions fans feel today or the Vikings fans felt last week. Like, they won a lot of football games, but they still didn't win in the postseason. Regardless, though, you want to talk about 2018, the NOLA no call. Look, we all know that was the biggest screw job since Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. But the reality is, it didn't happen. So you won a lot of football games. You had a really good quarterback and coach. So they, like, in your eyes, they were contenders. And yeah, you know what I'm saying? You can be a contender, but you ain't win nothing. So I'm just saying, like, what do you expect? Like, what do you expect to happen? Like, you won a lot of football games just to get bounced out in the playoffs. If that is your gripe on Mike McCarthy, then you're a hypocrite. For real, like, you're a hypocrite. If your gripe is Mike McCarthy had a legendary all-world quarterback and get bounced out of the playoffs consistently, he only got 1 ring to show for it, you're a hypocrite. If you feel like that's the narrative that you run, if that's the narrative that you're running with, you're a hypocrite. I'm calling it for what it is. That is hypocrisy at its finest. Because you're basically presenting the same narrative that your favorite coach and quarterback went through for 15 to 16 years. So, like I said, if you don't want the man as the coach, just say you don't want the man as the coach. But don't throw salt on his name, especially when the narrative is exactly the same as the coach that you were willing to lay down the sword for and go to war for. It's the same narrative. The same one. Don't backpedal. Don't be like, well, man, we knew we had a contender. We knew. You can know all you want to. You don't think the Green Bay Packers knew that they were contenders with Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy? But how many championships did that equate to? 1. How you feel is how you're shaping these narratives. Your feelings mean absolutely jack when it comes to it. What it all comes down to is the coach wins or if the coach loses. Can this coach make you better than you were last year, 2 years ago? And I also mentioned this. I said Mike McCarthy instantly gives you more than what Dennis Allen would give you. People looked at that like, man, that's a low bar. What I'm saying is you will have levels of success. You will be able to go into games and be able to win against some stiff competition because he will be prepared and his team will be prepared. That is what you want. I want to win for our team in next season, TJ. I'm tired of seeing losing for the past 4 to 5 years without playoffs, NFC Championship, or Super Bowl like this. I need a new, younger head coach. I mean, look, that's no problem with that. And like I said, it is not one of those situations where I'm just trying to destroy people's preferences. What I'm saying is don't do it at the expense of Mike McCarthy. Like, if you want something new and you feel like that's the direction the team needs to go in, I'm okay with that. Everybody has their respective narrative, but what I can't accept is people just bashing this man like we ain't just see a coach and quarterback do the same thing this man did for 15 years. I'm just saying. And like I said, this is not a knock on Sean or Drew. They're the greatest two, duo in the history of this franchise. We wouldn't even have the respect and confidence in this football team at all if it wasn't for those two individuals. But be real with yourself. Like we shine away somebody that has a reputation of making the playoffs, won a Super Bowl. Like if we were like the Patriots or the Cowboys during that span, when Jimmy Johnson was there, or when Belichick and Brady was there, like if we had like 6 Super Bowls sitting in the foyer area, like I can understand how people feel. You got 1 Super Bowl, a bunch of yards, a bunch of regular season wins, and some confidence going for you. And like we ain't reached that level yet, bro. I'm just saying. Damn, TJ, don't crap on Sean and Drew just to big up McCarthy. That's nasty work. I'm glad you mentioned that, and I'm glad I just I just basically broke that down and cleared that up, because that's what, I hate to say it, but that's how people take things. You use that as an example, then all of a sudden you bashing a person. Like I said, that's not my intentions. My intention is not to bash. My intention is to show that if people are having this particular criticism, you have the same coach and quarterback that went through the same scenario, whether you want to agree with that or not. It's not a bashing Drew or Sean. That's just the reality. Reality is they won a lot of football games, but unfortunately the team couldn't get it done more so than not in the postseason. We need a Coach Boone, man. Cliff Kingsbury for my vote. Mike McCarthy is my vote. Happy snow day, folks. Lewis, happy snow day. Yeah, man, it got snow down there in New Orleans. I know a lot of people are excited about that. My big brother just sent me a video, a picture of the snow. He says it's about 6 inches of snow down there. Let's see. Just cut Carr and start Rattler next year. Look, I'm all for it. I'm all for it, man. I'm all for like turning a page and trying to do something a little bit different. Kingsbury got my vote. I like Rizzy, but it does concern me any coach that is not looking to the future with a quarterback. Giving a shout out to Mario. And the crazy thing about this though, there's a person out there, and I'm not just saying this, but I guarantee you, when this show is all said and done, the same thing that was just mentioned about Sean Payton and Drew Brees, that's going to be in the chat. And the people ain't even going to wait for the context. They ain't going to even look for the context. They're just going to be ready to type. But like I said, I mean, I guess it's the way you just look at things. Like, my intention was not to bash Sean Payton and Drew Brees. My whole point behind that is just to show that that's what happened. That's what we're shying away. Somebody that gave us, that has the same similar situation, but it's just on the other side. I said this quite often over the last few episodes. If we lived in an alternative universe, Mike McCarthy would be the coach that we're celebrating and fighting and going to war for, and Sean Payton would be that coach that everybody's sitting up here criticizing. I want to see what Cliff Kingsbury can do with us. I feel like he can get the best out of Rattler. He really been dialed in this playoffs. Yeah, I mean, he has, and you got to give him respect too, because I mean, he hasn't taken any interviews. He wants to be dialed in and focused, and some people feel like that may have been a detriment to the Detroit Lions. The fact that Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson were out here, preoccupied, looking at coaching opportunities, and maybe that played a role in them not being fully prepared or really fully dialed in. I'm not buying it. And also, the whole thing about Aaron Glenn, I know some people feel like the comments that I made about Aaron Glenn in regards to, him not being answered, is based on what I seen from Detroit. That's just not it. That's just not it. Because I understand, like, if you go back and you look at the game last season, when the Dallas Cowboys played against the Green Bay Packers at home in the postseason, and Dan Quinn was their defensive coordinator, and the Green Bay Packers whooped them boys, beat them to sleep at home in a wild card round, like just completely put foots to them boys. That did not stop the Commanders from hiring Dan Quinn as their head coach, and now look where the Commanders are right now. So that has nothing to do with it. My issue is I see certain things that plague the New Orleans Saints team right now that I see from the defensive side of the football over there in Detroit. I'm seeing the same thing that's been plaguing the Saints for years. And also just look at Aaron Glenn's resume, and for the exception of this year, I don't see any other like defensive led teams that he had that just had success. When he was with the Saints, like I promise you, go back into the archives of this show when Aaron Glenn was the secondaries coach. Go look at some of these comments that you have made. You know what I'm talking about. You know who you are. Wanting the Saints to get rid of Aaron Glenn because the secondary could never do what? Turn their heads around. If somebody throw a pass deep on an opposing team, two things happen: holding or a big play. I'm not telling y'all anything y'all don't already know. So this was on top of what I've already seen. And yes, like, can he probably come in and bring some energy and some enthusiasm and something that you probably, want, or you're a leader of men? Yeah, okay. That's cool. But like I said, man, motivational speeches and butt smacks only can take you so far. It comes down to when you go up against a coach that is a championship level coach, an elite coach, can you match wits with that coach? Or will everybody just realize this is a heavyweight going up against a strawweight, like it was with Dennis Allen? When Dennis Allen went up against Andy Reid, I mean, there was a first round knockout. It was a one-hitter quitter. When he went up against Matt LaFleur, you know what I'm saying? And all these other coaches, in one-hitter quitter. Had the lead. I'm talking about when Dennis Allen was here the first time. Had the lead. Couldn't even hold on to it. So that's all I'm saying, man. There's levels to this. I don't care. I don't care what a coach sounds like in a press conference. I don't care if he's saying the right things. Can you do the right thing? Can you consistently put your team in a position to succeed? That is the key. That's the key, folks. It ain't about, oh, man, look, you heard what he said? Man, let me send y'all what he just said. Just look at this clip right here and tell me if you don't want him as your coach. Bruh, I want him as a person that can motivate me. I'll listen to what he got to say. But does that mean that guy is going to put this team in the best position to succeed? I don't know. I'm telling you, I done seen some coaches that can make you run through 4 brick walls. It could coach their way out of a paper bag in crucial situations. So, and for the record, I'm not mad at McCarthy, nor if they want to go with the upside with a Brady or Kingsbury. Look, I completely understand. Like I said, I'm completely understand. This was not a show episode designed to like make people feel bad for not wanting McCarthy as a coach. My stance was don't don't try to make this man look like he trash just because you prefer something else. It's okay to prefer something else. It's okay to prefer something else without having to, basically chop a man's legs off in the process. Like there's validity behind both. My preference is I just feel like you just need to turn some things around and things need to be better in some aspects right now because you have a fan base to appease and you also want to be competitive while you're actually trying to figure this thing out. So I'd rather go with somebody I know that has their reputation right now versus somebody that I never seen. Loomis is lazy. The easy hire is Rizzy, so that most likely who he will hire. Well, look, I think that you have other people that are involved. You got other people that are involved, in this process, and apparently they're not yes men, so that's probably a good thing. You got Randy Mueller, who's the former general manager of the Saints. The guy that ended up hiring Mickey Loomis back in the day. And you got some other guys, Dave Ziegler, a former general manager in his own right. I don't know about that one, but I mean, there's a difference of opinion in there. So you got some guys that you can bounce ideas off of, and I think that's the best thing that you can ask for. But then you say Mike McCarthy going with Carr at quarterback. Yeah, I mean, more than likely, he probably will, because the fact of the matter is the Saints will feel comfortable in Mike McCarthy being able to get the best out of Derek Carr. And they will be able to not have to eat that $50 million cap hit. You know what I'm saying? Like, they wouldn't have to eat that cap hit if they were to release him. So, there's that. But all I'm saying is I get what you're saying about Derek Carr and me saying that they need to get rid of him, but that don't mean two things can be true here. I can want I can want Derek Carr to be gone and go with Spencer Rattler, but at the same time, I can still feel Mike McCarthy is the answer to the problem. It's not like I'm choosing who do you want, Derek Carr or Spencer Rattler here. You know what I'm saying? I still feel like Mike McCarthy can still give you the results that make, that you can be satisfied with for the situation itself, regardless if he was to keep Derek Carr or not. All right. So I still feel like he's the best person for the job. So that doesn't mean just because he will keep Derek Carr around, oh, you want to keep Derek Carr around? Nah, I don't want him. I still feel like if this is the way that I feel about it. I feel like if they move on from Derek Carr, I still feel like you'll see a much better version of Spencer Rattler. If they was to keep Derek Carr, I think that he will put together a game plan where the Saints will be more serviceable with Derek Carr as the quarterback. So, but regardless, I just feel like you'll be in better shape, regardless of how they want to put this thing together. Glenn will be named Jets head coach before the day is done. I am willing to bet. Is the Saints going to hire after the Super Bowl? I mean, maybe if they're going with a coach that's still playing right now. I mean, you got Cliff Kingsbury that's still out there, Joe Brady who's still coaching, so, there's that. I'm passing on Kafka and Moore. We don't have a Mahomes on this squad. Yeah, man. I mean, most of their success came with proven quarterbacks. People need to spare me with this BS when he was Saints secondaries coach. People want him gone when players getting burnt. And when he became Lions DC, now sudden people want him as a head coach. Man. I just see, even though their personalities are different, Aaron Glenn and Dennis Allen are two different people. I still see the philosophies defensively of Dennis Allen. And I I just think that the Saints need to like go in a different direction. I do. Like, I think that the NFL is catering and leaning towards more athletic, speedy, hybrid type defensive players. I really do. And it's good, to have fundamentals and assignment base and all that kind of stuff. That's good. And and you'll have success there. And I'm not saying Dennis Allen defense didn't do the job, but I don't know, man. I just want to, I look around the league and I'm looking at some of these other teams and the way that their defensive schemes are. Just wish that the New Orleans Saints can kind of, change some things around. I really believe that McCarthy is the guy should Glenn sign with the Jets. Mike McCarthy means Derek Carr, so thumbs down for me. I would rather see what Rattler can do next year. Doubt he goes with Carr. I think McCarthy would want to mold Spencer Rattler in that West Coast offense. That could be. Mike will be good as a head coach. I think the players are going to give Rizzy the job. Well, I say this. I think that organizations take players, especially those seasoned veterans like Alvin, like Cam's thoughts and feelings into consideration. But I don't think that, they just, Alvin, Cam, and DeMario want Darren Rizzy, so let's go ahead and sign them now. Because you also got to keep in mind also that, whoever they end up hiring as the head coach going to be if he has success, he's going to be head coach much longer than these dudes going to be playing. So, and if they don't, he probably still be the head coach because, Mickey Loomis ain't going to try to fire him because, they're going to probably keep him around 6-7 years, which means 6-7 years of losing. So I'll take that young dual threat quarterback. AG shouldn't go to the Jets. One bad season, he gone, and his reputation is bad. After one season, it'll be smart for him to come to the Saints. Well, you can say it'd be smart for him to come to the Saints, Alfred, but would it be smart for him to come to the Saints? Like, let's take the emotional aspect out of this whole situation, right? Let's take it away, right? Let's just say Alfred. Shouts out to Alfred, man. Thank you for supporting, man. Every venture I do this, man, up in this thing, but. Take away your fandom just for a second. You're Alfred Andrews, just random sports fan. Like, I just like watching football. You looking at the Jets, you looking at the same situation. Let's look at the cap. Let's look at the general manager. Let's look at the roster. Let's look at all these things now. You have an opportunity to go to the Jets where if you don't have Aaron Rodgers, there's a chance that you can get the quarterback you want. You can be able to work alongside the general manager that you want. You have a young core and a young cornerstone players that's probably going to be playing for you for the next 5 to 7 years. Like Quentin Williams, what I'm saying? His brother, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson. What you got? Breece Hall out there. Like, come on, man. Like, and then you have a team that's $60 million in cap hell, got a general manager that ain't going nowhere, can stink it up as much as he want to. Don't, you know what I'm saying? Don't give you the groceries that you need to cook a good meal. But if you burn this meal in any way, even though he gave you he didn't give you the right oil, he got you cooking with peanut oil instead of canola. All right, you burning stuff because of the ingredients that they gave you, and you get fired in the process. It's like comparing apples to oranges here. All I'm saying is, like, I can understand that. And then on top of that, Alfred, for this particular instance, I want you to be a fan. Alfred, you from the city. You from New Orleans, right? You been in football for a long time. You played the game. Now all of a sudden you want to be a head coach. And you get a phone call from Gail Benson. And Gail Benson says, Alfred, I want you to be the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. What would be going through your mind right now? You'll be like, man, it's a dream come true right here, man. It's the team that I grew up following. It's the team I used to root for. Aaron Glenn got drafted by the New York Jets in 1994. He played 8 seasons with this team. They were bad during that time, but still, he was the bright spot, the cornerstone player of that team. And you get opportunity of going back to the team that drafted you. Now, think about this. All those other teams that had opportunity to obtain you, the Jets took a chance on you. And they expected you to help them be able to change the narrative of what people feel about Jets football. You don't think he's looking at that as a duty? If the opportunity presents itself, that's all I'm saying. It's night and day. It's night and day, man. Like this is probably to Aaron Glenn. This is the same way it would be if one of us was a head coach and we were asked to coach the New Orleans Saints. We'll be over the moon. That's probably how you feel about the Jets. TJ, in your honest opinion, who you think delusional Mickey is going to pick as next head coach? Who do I think? I think it's out of Joe Brady and Mike McCarthy. That's who I feel. I think it's out of Joe Brady, Mike McCarthy. Because I really don't feel like Aaron Glenn going to leave that building without the Jets sewing them up. I don't. I'll be shocked if Aaron Glenn don't leave with a contract. I'll be shocked. Remember, McCarthy is the one who asked the Saints to bring a young Aaron Brooks here when we had Blake. He helped fix Aaron Brooks' throwing motion and helped coach him to who he became. Yeah, I mean, he had his best season as a Saint. That was that year where the Saints went to the playoffs and beat the Rams. You know, that whole Akeem dropped the ball. You know, Akeem dropped the ball. Yeah, that year. Kellen Moore or Brady. The NFL is an offensive-driven league. I agree. And that's what I'm saying. If you get a defensive-minded coach, if he keep on getting coordinator after coordinator over and over and over again, if that coordinator starts to find success, then guess what? You're going to lose him. And then you're going to have to replace him again with another coordinator. And if that one becomes successful, then you got to replace him with another coordinator. It's like with Dave Canales, right? Tampa Bay had success with Dave Canales. Dave Canales found success, became the head coach of Carolina. Lynn Cohen, offensive coordinator. Right now, you know, he's in his second interview with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So he might end up being the Jacksonville Jaguars head coach. So now you got to find somebody to replace Lynn Cohen. So you like teams are going to want what you have, and mostly it's going to come in an offensive capacity. So that's my only issue. Like when you get a defensive-minded coach. Same here, TJ. I'm just aggravated. Some people want Aaron Glenn gone when he was with the Saints secondary. Now suddenly they want him as the Saints head coach. Like, make up your mind. Yeah, I just think that maybe people feel like something is different. I don't see anything different. I only see him like out of the he's been a defensive coordinator for 4 seasons. Out of those 4 seasons, I only seen like 1 year where you had consistency at that position. Like I'm telling you, go back and watch the NFC Championship game where they played against the 49ers. Them boys couldn't stop a nosebleed. Like seriously, like that secondary like stayed getting torched. That's all I'm saying. Like 1 year out of 4, and then all of a sudden you have a good year. Like I said, it might be one of those situations where, you know, he might go there to the Jets and they might have success. But I'm just saying, like I'd rather go with something that's proven at this point based on the Saints condition. Who's going to pick the defensive coordinator for our team, TJ? Well, it's going to be the head coach. The head coach would have complete autonomy over every decision, like offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, roster. Like I will say that Mickey was smart enough to say that out loud so people can know that. And I'm pretty sure he's telling every coach that interviews how does he, you know, that he's going to do that. So that's a good thing. Facts, TJ, how Aaron Glenn about the Jets is different than a Jonathan Velma. Velma feels more tied to the Saints legacy-wise because of the Super Bowl. Glenn probably feels that about the Jets. Yeah, I mean, and Velma, I want to say, I don't know if Velma might have played for the Saints longer than he did for the Jets. Because let me see. I think Velma only played for the Jets maybe like 3 or 4 seasons or something like that. But let me see. All right, so he played for the Jets, yeah, for 4, 5, 6, or for 4 seasons, yeah. And he played for the Saints 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So for 6 seasons. So he played for the Saints longer than he played for the Jets. Played for the Saints for 6 seasons and the Jets for 4. Even though the Jets were the team that drafted him. So I would think he probably, does have more memories and I guess like relates to the Saints more than he does, with the Jets. Got a question, a hot take, drop an audio with the topic and takes at stateofsaints@gmail.com. Yeah, if you got something to say, man, or you can always send a voice message or voice memo to stateofsaints@gmail.com. We'll play it here on the show. Hopefully one day somebody will send me a message. TJ, the Steelers got another offer from Mike Tomlin from the Giants. Steelers rejected again, but Mike Tomlin has a no trade clause. Yeah, I mean, he has a no trade clause, but he also has he also can make a decision if he agreed to it. Like, if he wants to go to the Giants, and the Steelers go to him, the Rooney family says, you know what, Mike, we just got this deal from the Giants, and just want to know if you would be interested in going there. If he says yes, then if the Saints getting Joe Brady, I can see Al Holcomb. If the Saints getting Mike McCarthy, hopefully it's Al Harris. Yeah, I mean, I think you're gonna see some. I think you're gonna see some player developers. That's one thing I know that you'll see with Mike McCarthy. Velma always represents the Saints, it seems. Yeah, I mean, he's a Saint through and through. He's a Saint through and through. And we got to remember some of these coaches we gotta want to coach here. It is the other vacancies. Yeah. I mean, these are appealing spots, man. Like, we looking at it from an emotional standpoint. Like, why wouldn't you want to play for the Saints? But we're looking at it from our own vantage point. But when these teams bringing these coaches in, man, they coming through with the sales pitch because they want some of that, right? You're getting interviews because out of all of your peers, there's only a handful of other coaches that they feel like are worthy of them actually investing their time in to talk about their head coaching opportunity that they have for you or the other person. So guess what? Like they sending their best pitchmen up in that thing. They showing you the best time. They giving you the best meals. They're giving the best presentations because they want you. So, sometimes, you look at the situation, opportunities that present themselves, things that teams offer, like just makes you interested. And, I mean, like I said, we're looking, you gotta, it's hard, but you gotta remove your fandom away from certain situations. Like, I think sometimes, like, we become so emotionally invested in a football team, we really can't see past their imperfections, or we can't see what coaches or players will see in other teams. But I mean, they trying to get that player and that coach just like you want that player, that coach. TJ, is Clint Kubiak staying with the Saints? I think he will stay with the Saints. I think he'll stay with the Saints if the head coach wants him to stay with the Saints. I think that it would probably do him some good if he ended up staying with the Saints if Mike McCarthy was the coach. I do. If Joe Brady is the coach, he's not coming back. If Cliff Kingsbury become the head coach, he's not coming back. The only if Anthony Weaver is the head coach, I feel like he probably gonna stay. Like I said, Mike McCarthy, Anthony Weaver. I don't even think with Aaron Glenn he will stay. I think Aaron Glenn will probably find some other offensive coordinator. So I think Mike McCarthy, Anthony Weaver will probably stay. Tomlin needs to come out way and stop playing. Come our way and stop playing. I guess that's what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that would be insane. First thing the new coach got to do is solve this quarterback situation. I'm pretty sure that's the top question, Joe. I'm pretty sure that's the top question that's being asked to him. Like, what would you want to do when it comes to personnel? You know, most in particular the quarterback position. His way of thinking, TJ, I mean, he is stuck on old ideas. Who we talking about here, Greg? I'm sorry, I kind of came at the tail end. Who are we talking about? The thing I think worries most Saints fans is knowing whoever it is, they will be the coach at least 3 years, and no one wants to suck another 3 years. That's what I'm saying. That's that's how I feel. That's why I'm like, man, I'd rather go with a short thing that I know is going to generate some levels of success, until the Saints actually can put themselves in a position where they can truly be contenders. Because you got a chance to like build some momentum because you got a last place schedule coming in 2025. Because you were last in the NFC South. So Clint rumor went Glenn to the Jets. Well, if that's the case, then that'll be great. So if he is rumor, so I guess I have to backtrack on that. So if Aaron Glenn was to become the head coach of the Saints, I guess Clint Kubiak would stay in. So throw him in there. Yeah, McCarthy would definitely keep Kubiak. They run the West Coast offense. I think he'll keep him because, and I also think it would be beneficial to Clint Kubiak. I do. I think it would be beneficial to him. Like, this is a coach that's been around the block a few times and understands football and understands X's and O's and has a reputation of developing players. And I think that it will help Clint Kubiak be able to see some of the things that maybe he didn't see. I think that he struggles, and I think we all understand this and would agree with this, is he struggles with second half adjustments. And I think that being aligned with a coach that is, somebody that has found success in the league, I think it will help him. And when he gets opportunity to leave, it probably would be for a head coaching opportunity. I think he'll be ready for it. TJ, I just seen the Jets is closing in on the deal with Aaron Glenn. Yeah, I think that came from Josina Anderson. I seen that report too, if we're talking about the same one. Alfred Andrews, thank you very much for the 199, says it's official, Glenn to the Jets. So if that's the case, then you can go ahead and take him out of the running also. You can go ahead and take him out of the running if that is the case. Says Jets, this coming from Pro Football Talk. It says Jets working to finalize deal to hire Aaron Glenn as the head coach. All right, so that's from Pro Football Talk, and I'm pretty sure some other people, coming out, and Josh McDaniel getting another opportunity. How about that? Patriots expect to hire Josh McDaniel as the offensive coordinator. So Josh McDaniel back at it again. It's not 100% finalized yet, but it will be a surprise if the Jets don't hire Aaron Glenn to be their next head coach. So now the stories are starting to come out. So that's another person off the board, man. There's another person off the board. So if Aaron Glenn off the board, then that leaves a couple more candidates. That leaves Joe Brady. That leaves Cliff Kingsbury, which I don't even think, like, I could be wrong again. I'm just drawing things out here. I don't know if Cliff Kingsbury like ready to leave. I think that he probably don't really want a head coaching opportunity like that. I think he's having a lot of fun developing Jaden Daniels. And I think that he probably knows that he has plenty of time to, be a head coach. Like, he doesn't have to rush into it. He almost had that Ben Johnson type thing where people thought Ben Johnson was going to leave Detroit last year, but he stayed. So who Mike McCarthy would hire as the defensive coordinator would be interesting. Well, I mean, but Brandon, here's the good thing. Here's the good thing what people need to understand too. Somebody said this, I can't remember, and I wish I could because I want to give that person credit. But they said the way that people look at Mike McCarthy around the National Football League is not the way that maybe fans or, people on the outside looking in look at him. He's well respected. So with that, I feel like the Saints will probably get themselves a really good defensive coordinator. There's Steve Wilkes is out there, even though he's been tied to maybe the Jet job. If Aaron Glenn gets the job, he probably will bring Steve Wilkes with him. You have to take a look at Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh is another guy that I feel like maybe, would listen to Mike McCarthy. Or, another coach, maybe on the college ranks or something like that, up and coming coach. So, I think that, the Saints will get opportunity to have a decent or a really good defensive coordinator because of the respect they will have for Mike McCarthy. TJ, if the Saints keep Carr as quarterback, do you think Bryce Young and Michael Penix will play Carr in 2025? Would they play Carr? Or would they? I guess you're saying would they outplay him? I guess that's what you're saying. I think so. I assume that's what you're alluding to, Chantel. I think those two guys are going to get better. I think that Michael Penix is going to be really good. I think that Bryce Young is going to be good. I do. That's cool. I'm with TJ bringing McCarthy. I think he can right the ship with the mess we have. If he rights the mess and could get things on track, and like I said, even if it don't pan out and they end up going a different direction with another coach, I think that you're in a much better situation. I think to appease Saints fans, I think they need to see a much better version of the Saints and being competitive and playing some meaningful football in the latter parts of the season. I think that's going to appease the fan base. I really feel that way. I don't think nobody want to keep on seeing this win one, lose one, win one, lose two. Like, people tired of that. People want to see consistency. Cliff can build up a strong resume stand in Washington. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He can be patient. He does, like, come on, man. What's the worst that can happen? I mean, you keep, like, you're going to be highly touted next year too, because you got Jaden freaking Daniels as your quarterback. And you're extremely instrumental in his development. So he's going to be the number one highly touted coach in the next year's head coaching cycle. Like, he doesn't have to leave. Like, he really doesn't. He doesn't have to leave. I kind of figured that's what you meant, Chantel. Outplayed. Yeah, I think they will. I think those guys are going to get better. The best coach or best quarterback will not matter if the offensive line crumbles. No quarterback can throw when they have broken ribs. I agree, Linda. That's true. No quarterback can throw when they got broken ribs, which is why I feel like the Saints need to improve that offensive line. I think they need to improve that offensive line. I think that's what they need to kind of build around. Try to get that thing solidified. Hire a Super Bowl winning coach would be huge, though. If y'all tired of watching KC in the Super Bowl, put one in the chat. Look, man, I get it, man. I get people tired of looking at Kansas City. That just comes with anything, man. Like, it's just, when you win so much, and then on top of that, the way that they win, it seems like the NFL is in favor of them having success because they want to keep Patrick Mahomes at the top. I can understand that can frustrate folk, but just imagine if this was your football team. If the Kansas City Chiefs were the Saints, would you care? I don't think you would. TJ, do you think we can trade for Jaden Daniels? Man, please. No, sir. No, sir. Man, they do that, boy. Everybody and their mama get fired, man. No, sir. Oh, man, they'll let you have anybody else on that team before they let you have Jaden Daniels. Not a Rattler fan, but the kid got sacked too many times. Yeah, it's kind of hard for you to really evaluate him, especially when you look at the fact of, not having your top running back, offensive line in shambles, wide receivers like out there coming from the XFL, USFL, borderline fourth, fifth string wide receivers. Like, kind of hard for you to evaluate a guy. Like, man, me being 38 right now, I'm confident enough to believe that I probably could have went out there and probably started for the Saints. I ain't played football since I was like 19 around this thing, you know what I'm saying? Shoot, man, that's how bad it was. Shoot, I could have went out there, got 2 catches for 12 yards, got dug. Shoot, I could have did that. You know, like, it was bad, man. It's kind of hard to evaluate. Kind of hard to evaluate these dudes, man. Like, man, between us watching other players live up to their true potential, going other places and watching how the Saints is, man, they was on a struggle bus, man. Like, they were just struggling trying to keep things together. It was bad. It's kind of hard to evaluate. Like, you can evaluate on some of his decision making and stuff like that, but I don't know, man. They need some coaches that are gonna develop these players. TJ, I read a report that Mike McCarthy has a second interview with the Giants tomorrow. That's what I read on the report. Oh, I don't know why. I mean, they got Brian Daboll, so I don't know. They still got Brian Daboll, so I don't see why he would go there, have any interest with that. We need a coach that can lead a whole organization like Sean did, because unfortunately we can't depend on other people at the front office to do their job. I think that the front office got exposed over the last couple of years. I think that this has always existed, but when you take away the veil, which is Sean Payton and Drew Brees, everything gets exposed. Like, it's almost like, if you ever seen the movie The Wizard of Oz, right? And you remember when Dorothy, Tin Man, Lion, and Scarecrow, they went to the Wizard of Oz, right? Y'all remember they had the big old head. Who dares bother the Wizard of Oz? And had them all scared and stuff like that, trembling in their boots. You know, the lions come jumping out of the window and what have you. But then all of a sudden, like Toto, when they went back to the Wizard of Oz, they realized that, Toto started biting on a man's ankle, and they pulled back the sheet, and they found out it was just this guy, you know what I'm saying, in the background, just pushing buttons and making smoke pop up and all that kind of stuff. It was an illusion, right? You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, they look scary, right? He was scary, this big old head, like, who dare bothers, like, when I was a kid, man, scared the heck out of me, right? But like I said, when Toto bit on that man's ankle and they realized he was the one pushing the button, it was like, man, this dude ain't scary. Like, this man with a suit on, with a raspy voice. Oh, come on there, Lumbers. Like, ain't nothing scary about that. That is what happened. The Saints look scary. They look like they was primed to win it every single year, right? But then all of a sudden, Toto started biting at the ankles, and everybody pulled back that curtain. They see what's really going on. This operation is a hoax. The wizard is not all powerful. He's just a man in a suit pushing buttons. That is what happened with the New Orleans Saints. They got exposed, man. It's always been like that. But at the same time, like I said, you had Sean Payton and Drew Brees to cover this thing up. Now you just realize that they meant more to this organization than any one of us imagined. That is the reason why, like, to me, the legend of Drew Brees and Sean Payton just grows every single year. And it grows with every incompetent decision and every cluster, that takes place with this football team. You have to have an appreciation for them even more about what they brought to this organization. And the scary thing about it is, it's like you have mainstays here. Like, you have to hope to God that they get it right, because they ain't going nowhere. Like that, it is. If they was like some of these other organizations, like the Eagles, Browns, even, that you ain't gonna keep your job for long if you don't get the job done. Even though the Browns, like, they just stink and they just keep on revolving it. But you understand what I'm saying? Like, Mickey can screw this thing up over and over and over again, and he probably more than likely won't lose his job until he decides that he doesn't want the job anymore. So Saints fans are almost at the mercy of this front office and hoping that they get it right. Because you can yell from the rooftops all you want to. If they don't want to hear you, they don't have to hear you. So we just have to hope they get it right. Because if they don't, then, you know, it's going to be some slow singing and flower bringing every single year. And I don't think nobody wants that. Reports just came out saying Aaron Glenn left the building with just without a contract per Jonathan Jones. Okay, well, maybe you want to see what the Saints talking about. Call me crazy, you heard me, but I got a feeling it's going to be Commanders and Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Well, I don't think nobody will be upset with that. I think everybody will want to see a Patrick Mahomes, Jaden Daniels Super Bowl. Finding out that Loomis got demoted would make my year. Well, I don't think he'll get demoted. If anything, he'll probably just serve as his main role, which is executive vice president, and get somebody else the GM job. TJ, we going to settle the head coaching position. We Saints fans going to Pittsburgh and make Tomlin, no question, ask Mike Tomlin, New Orleans Saints head coach, wishful thinking. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. Like, I just don't get it. Every time a coach loses in the postseason, here come the stories. Man, is such and such overrated? Is he not a good coach? Like, dude, man, this team is in the playoffs every single year. You got teams that ain't made the playoffs in nearly a decade. And we sitting up here criticizing a man for making the playoffs every year. He ain't winning it, but once again, you can't win if you ain't in it. Tide went out on Mickey Loomis, and we find out he got no chunks. Mickey the Wiz. The Browns have a crappy head coach in Kevin Stefanski. I don't think Kevin Stefanski that bad of a coach. You know, I don't think he that bad. Drew Brees is once in a generation franchise shifting free agent quarterback signing, possibly the best free agent He's the best free agent of all time, in my opinion. I think Drew Brees is the greatest free agent in NFL history. I mean that. Like, I know, like, you can probably make an argument for Reggie White. You could probably make an argument for Reggie White, but even that, like, Reggie White came from the Eagles, and from the Eagles, he signed that deal, I want to say back in 94 with the Packers. And, you know, like, he was a godsend. But it's like, I think Drew Brees is, and I'm not being a homer when I say this, I think Drew Brees is the greatest free agent in NFL history. Like, I don't think a player that ever signed with a team in free agency meant more to their team than Drew Brees did. You can find, like, players that sign and they go to teams and that team gets success. Like Peyton Manning, when he left the Colts, he went to the Broncos and the Broncos won. But Drew Brees, like, had a second life after he left the Chargers. Like, it's like night and day. It's like night and day. Like, to me, he the greatest free agent in NFL history. Like, I think it's him. Like, he number one, Reggie White number two. I would have to really think to see who is number three. I probably Marshall Faulk. Marshall Faulk, I'll put him up there too. Like, him going from the Colts to the Rams. Probably say you have to put him up there too. But I think he's the greatest free agent in NFL history. TJ, I would like Joe Brady. He is a offense minded coach, but I also wouldn't be upset with Mike McCarthy. Nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with that. Rappaport just reported that the Jets bringing out everything to get Glenn to the Jets, even former players and Hall of Famers of the franchise, to get it done. Yeah, they want him bad, boy. They give him the Deshaun Watson treatment when he went to Atlanta. Said, yeah, Big Boy and T.I. All them boys showed up. I bet you they happy as I don't know what now that fell through. Who do you think will be our special teams coordinator, TJ? I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure about that. If Rizzy leaves, they probably end up keeping the same special teams coach that they have now. The guy that replaced Rizzy. I think that they probably will keep him. I don't think he was that bad. Oh, Falk with trade. Well, yeah. Well, see, gotta even throw him out there. Thank you. Falk was traded from the Coastal. Yeah, he sure was. He sure was traded. But I guess I can't put him up there. Would DeMario Davis be one too? I guess would DeMario Davis. I guess you can put DeMario Davis in there too. I guess you would do that, Darrell Reeves or Randy Moss. Yeah, that's one too. Thank y'all for correcting me on that. I should have known that because I just recently watched like A Football Life with Marshall Faulk like not too long ago. So I should have known that. But yeah. So I guess I can't put Marshall Faulk in there. So who else? Like I said, Reggie White. Like Reggie White, Drew Brees. I can't think of Deion Sanders. Yeah, Deion Sanders, my dog. That's a good one. Deion Sanders. Definitely, you know what I'm saying? Definitely was a difference maker. I mean, I get, but I'm talking about when they go there. Because I look at Deion Sanders, I look at Darrell Reeves as like mercenaries, like football mercenaries. Like they just sold to the highest bidder. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you're gonna give me how much money and I gotta do what now? Warwick Dunn. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Like, where you went from Atlanta to Tampa, right? You went from Atlanta to Tampa, right? If I'm not mistaken, Warwick Dunn, right? And you got Keenan McCardell and Jimmy Smith. I mean, that was a good 1-2 punch right there. People like Rod Woodson. Yeah, Rod Woodson, like he was toward the tail end of his career. But yeah, I mean, I guess when he went to the Ravens, I guess you can say that. He was pretty good. Also, he was good. I mean, he was the GOAT. He was the GOAT when he was with the Steelers. Oh yeah, he went to Tampa to Atlanta. Okay, vice versa. Charles Woodson. Yeah, I mean when he went to the Packers. Yeah. Tom Brady. It's hard. It's hard to disagree with somebody. It's hard to disagree with somebody that does that has that level of success. Devin Hester, game changer. Yeah, I mean Curtis Martin. Yeah, Curtis Martin. Yeah, I agree with that. Patriots to the Jets, right? Let's see. Most of those players went to legendary franchises. Drew went to a franchise that was a laughingstock. I'm just saying, like, Drew Brees had a second life in New Orleans. Like, most of his yards, his touchdowns, all that stuff for the most part came from New Orleans. Like, Desmond Howard. I don't know about that one, man. I mean, Desmond Howard, we started with then Washington Redskins, and then he went to the Green Bay Packers, where he was. A lot of people don't know this. He was the Super Bowl MVP in that '98 Super Bowl. But man, greatest free agent. That's tough right there. That's tough. Let's see. Oh wait, that's not right. Kurt Warner. Yeah, I would say. Yeah, I would say yes. I would say yes. I would say Kurt. I would say Kurt Warner. Yeah, Kurt Warner definitely can be considered one. But I put it like this. Okay, yes, he did sign with the Rams. Yes, he did. But. Well, I guess you can. I don't want to. Yeah, I definitely would put him in there because I get what you're saying now. He went to the Rams, right? He went to the Rams, and then after he left the Rams, he went to the Giants, and he was more of a mentor to Eli Manning. When Eli Manning got himself together, he went to the Cardinals, and he went to the Super Bowl with them, even though they lost. Man, I wanted them to win back in 08. I wanted them to win that Super Bowl so bad. And then when I seen that pass where, he threw the pass to Larry Fitzgerald, I thought for sure they were going to win that game. But I'll never forget Ben Roethlisberger back of the end zone to Santonio Holmes for the touchdown. That was one of the greatest catches in Super Bowl history, in my opinion. Like David Tyree helmet catch, of course, that's probably the best. Even though I will say, like, look, it probably had a stronger it was on a much larger scale that Tyree catch. But I ain't gonna lie, Lance Moore catch for that 2-point conversion for the Saints, that might have been one of the best catches in Super Bowl history. It might have been. It might have been one of the best catches in Super Bowl history, man. The way he caught that pass upside down like that and was able to stretch it out, like, very underrated catch right there. But you got to give David Tyree helmet catch I guess you got to give him the credit for that. Air McNair, I don't know about that, man. Steve McNair going from the Titans to the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know about that one, man. He was a little bit beat up at that time. Yeah, he was beat to you know what around the time he got there. Yeah, Chad Bailey. We ain't talking about Saints, Chad Bailey. We talking about Broncos. Yeah. If we talking about from Redskins to Broncos, yeah. But yeah. Yep, Kurt Warner was a sniper and a great story from rags to riches. Yeah, it definitely was. Man, who put Eli? Who put Eli Apple on here, man? Come on, man. That Holmes catch was a perfect throw. Eli to Mario Man. Oh yeah. Yeah, the one versus the Patriots. Yeah, that was a dime right there. I still say David Tyree catch was better, man. Because Rodney Harrison was trying everything in his power to try to get this. we just BSing now. Jason Dave, we just BSing now. We just BSing now, man. Tracy Porter game sealing interception was one of the best clutch moments in Super Bowl history. I agree. That pick six. Yeah, definitely. Corey. we just BSing now. We just BSing now. But man, okay, final verdict, man, because I'm pretty sure we probably about to get to the bottom of this in the next couple of days, folks. Who do you want to see as the Saints' next head coach? Who do you want to see? Who do you want to see as the New Orleans Saints next head coach? Drop it in the chat right now. Who do you want to see? That's what I want to know. Who do you want to see? When Julian Edelman caught that catch against Atlanta in the Super Bowl, when he regripped it close to the ground, yeah, that was a good catch too. Yeah, that was a good catch. It will most likely be Mike McCarthy. Somebody said Jairus Bird. Somebody said Money Mike. If it's not Aaron Glenn, I'll take Joe Brady. Okay. Brady or Moore. Okay. So All Day Sports wants to go young. Cliff Kingsbury. All right. All those burnt players smoke like brisket, burnt like a biscuit. Yeah, man. Yeah, Jason David, Jairus Bird. Joe Brady, McCarthy, or Kingsbury. Okay, so Joe Brady first. Getting a lot of Joe Brady's. Yeah, getting a lot of Joe Brady's. Few McCarthy's. Whatever they get, man, as long as they bring some success, man. Aren't y'all tired of losing? Aren't y'all tired of watching the Saints lose? I don't want to say aren't y'all tired of losing because we ain't playing. But aren't you tired of the Saints losing? Like that I just want them to be contenders. That's what I want. I just want them to be contenders. I just want to see a better product on the field. That's all I want. Just want a better product on the field. That's all I need, y'all. All I need in this life is just some better quarterback play. That's all I want to see, man. So Joe Brady not proven. They might as well give Rizzy another shot at head coach. I thought Joe Brady was going to Jacksonville. I don't know. I don't think so. I think a lot of people like look at the Jacksonville Jaguars situation and they don't like they don't like Trent Baalke, if that's his name, if I'm not mistaken, the general manager. Kind of like, I guess, like a situation that the Saints dealing with, but on a lower scale. TJ, don't forget about Fred Toast. Oh man. It was so funny, man, because I was actually in class. With Fred Thomas's nephew when I was at Jackson State. And man, I used to go in, like, even back in them days, man, I used to go in on Fred Thomas so much, man. Like, he would get mad and stuff. Man, that's my uncle right there, man. Don't talk about my uncle like that. My uncle put me through college. I'm like, okay, man, my bad, man. He still stink. You know what I'm saying? Like, good person, but shoot, he's still not good. Like, but seriously, man, yeah, man, you can't. I never forget that 06 NFC Championship game versus the Bears. I never forget that. Homeboy was out there. That man was getting burned so bad, I swear he was the referee. Y'all know how the referees be lagging behind. You know what I'm saying? A few referees got some burners on them, but for the most part, they kind of running behind the players, right? That's kind of how Fred Thomas looked. That's why I dubbed him the referee. That's why I dubbed him the referee. I know you ain't about to come over here with all that cheese on your shirt.
I have a quick question for you.
Okay, hold on. All right, folks. Got to go ahead and head up out of here. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it. Much love to each and every one of you. Got 406 people watching this right now. I ask that you hit the like button. Let everybody know how much you enjoy the State of the Saints podcast and all of its content. Hopefully, I said something that makes you think, entertains you in some way, shape, or form. But be sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button once again. Also, follow me on X at TJAYJones8, as well as Blue Sky at TJAYJones8. And join me tomorrow on Saints Talk with Timothy J. Jones on Bleacher Report every Wednesday at 7 p.m. We'll talk a little bit more about the Saints head coaching situation. And hopefully I'll see some of you there, all of you there, hopefully. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat? That's
Thank
it.
you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.